Hi, Dr. Allison JK here, and today has officially marked the start of a new era, and there are lots of new energies coming in. One of the main reasons why is that Pluto has now moved into Aquarius, and the other things that have happened, for example, during this time, which only happens like around approximately every 250 years, it takes Pluto to move through whatever cycle it's going through. It spends about 20 years in each sign, and we've just been in Capricorn with Pluto, and Pluto's now in Aquarius. And the Reformation in Europe in the 1500s, with the Protestants coming out of the separating from the Roman Catholic Church, the French Revolution, the American Revolution, the majority of it happened under this kind of alignment. And so it's an incredible time. We're going to be in this new era for 20 years. And some of the things that are going to help you really make the most out of these beneficial energies is understanding that, as I've been talking about for a long time, power to the people, the individual, and then or behind the mission of vibrational upgrade, my business, is then the collective gets uplifted, the more of us that are living from the heart and the soul rather than the head. So our vertical alignment and then the horizontal alignment rather than what is typically conditioned into us. And if we do no work with our consciousness, the reactivity from the triggers presented to us from what's going on horizontally around us in the 3D world, and instead aligning with our higher self and with the divine. And that's going to be, it already is now, a lot more accessible. And so one of the areas that I know is really, I'm seeing really helpful is in that working with your self-mastery so that you're recognizing your triggers. Obviously, we've talked about this for a long time, and this isn't anything new, but when there are triggers, not letting it be about the horizontal, go vertical and ask your higher self, how can I, with more harmony and balance and grace and ease, see this, not even just move through this, acting as if it's a challenge, but work with your consciousness to reframe whatever it is. So the higher that you go vibrationally, and as I say all the time, clearing that back of the house consciousness, the unconscious and subconscious blocks from that create thoughts you don't even hear, that runs about 95% of our lives, the less conscious we are. The more that you can flush that out, getting clearings and activations, for example, and go higher, the more it's going to be easier for you to access the benefits of these times. The easier self-mastery will be. And another main aspect that we're moving into that I'm super thrilled to not only, report or detail to you, but to tell you that I've seen it, is the idea of moving beyond even manifestation and more into the co-creation. Because as we go higher self, then the higher chakras, not even of the traditional 7 chakra column, but going up into the 12 chakra column, we're accessing more and more of the divine. And so the yielding more and more to the consciousness that is of the divine, that is the higher and higher vibrations, and surrendering more to your guidance. And if you don't know necessarily what your guidance sounds and feels like, then work with me. I just spent so much of what I do on the Magic Manifestation and Money Flow call this week. We spent a lot of time how to discern between the intellect, or the ego mind as it's referred to in Buddhism and in meditation, and the intuition. And then increasingly, as people work with me longer, we go into the more and more subtle realms to be able to discern what is happening, what is being said via our intuition, intuitive development. It becomes like 201, 301, 401, 501. So learning how to not only work with the invisible. I mean, I used to be talking like 5 years ago, it's 10 years ago, talking about like honoring the divine feminine, which is the yin, which is the invisible, the unconditional love, the earth, energy, intuition, rather than what we've been conditioned to for hundreds of years from the patriarchy of what we can point to is real. If I see it, I believe it, right? So moving beyond that now and into a time where your understanding comes from a tonal difference of a more loving, softer voice, so to speak. It doesn't mean that your intuitive guidance is not going to be direct and clear, because I know myself and many others who I work with, in particular, one of my favorites is, she just said that this week, how her guidance tends to be really direct, and so does mine, like to get your attention, right? But also to be very clear. So not expecting your intuitive voice to necessarily be only loving or only soft, but it's not punishing, it's not fear-inducing. And then allowing yourself more to distinguish and discern the higher guidance or the higher voices or the higher thoughts, and continuing to do clearings and activations get you faster than meditation. Meditation does it too. To have increasing detachment from the ego personality level of yourself. The more you're going to benefit from these times, you're going to be, I find, presented with more and more ability to co-create, where the more we yield to that higher will and cooperate with it and co-create with it, the more fantastic our creations are. And I really feel and sense and see that now is the time, like, where there are miracles, truly, that can happen on a much more regular basis, where we're able to, the more we're able to yield to that higher will, the bigger the thing is that we're able to bring in. So self-mastery increasing, doing, and it doesn't mean like you get to a stopping point of self-mastery. It gets better and better the more and more you go into self-mastery. Like, the more and more bliss that happens, the more and more easy it is, the easier it is ever increasingly to vibrate at that joy level, at that happiness level, at the bubbly level, at the life force level, at the energy, vitality, thriving level. And so, of course, you're going to end up choosing to co-create more and more from those vibrations. And money loves that vibration too. So the self-mastery isn't meant to be an end point when I've gained self-mastery. It's meant to be a constant, not constant, because I don't want to make it sound like you're always working, but there are always new levels to go to with self-mastery. And it does get to a point where, like, what else is possible? You know, I mean, you're just continuing to evolve and expand. And in that expansiveness, you go higher and more becomes possible. So wherever you are on the spectrum that I've given you a bunch of different examples and descriptions of, really working within is the ticket now. I almost want to say more than ever before, but that sounds kind of repetitive, right? But really, these new energies, this new era, we're going to be, like I said, under this major energetic backdrop that contributes to the overall vibrational backdrop we're living within, is for the next 20 years. And it's really meant to help us bring power to the people, which means personal empowerment, self-empowerment. So it also feels like you're going to find things that have been challenging to change. It feels like this is a time, especially for those of us who have been doing this work prior to this time right now, the end of certain karma, the end of certain contracts, completions of some sort, and like a resurrection energy and a new beginning energy. And then if we couple this, it's so beautiful. If we couple this Western astrology, so to speak, it's not like the planets are only happening over the West, but the Chinese and the Vedic astrology is a bit different than Western astrology. If we couple that then with the Chinese astrology of this being the year of the dragon, on February 9th is the New Year's. And keep your eyes open, because I'm going to be offering some events about increasing the joy. And then for the Chinese New Year of the dragon, considering my connection with the dragon and the connection I then, people who come in and work with me end up already having a lot of them, and then further cultivating. It's going to be an incredible year. So stay tuned, and blessings.